Charles, good to see you, my man. I hope you're doing well. The Thanksgiving holiday is behind us. We're in the home stretch for the end of the year. Still no rest ahead of us. We've got a lot to do.
Oh my,
I hope you're doing well today.
doing well, doing well. We are a couple days past Thanksgiving, and I think the blood sugar's just now starting to kind of settle back in, just in time for a ramp up to the next cookie season, right?
That's right. Well, let's kick things off by letting everybody know we have made a few changes here. We have turned this from the current into something we're calling the lab, the energy lab, the lab. And we did this because we wanted to make some changes in the sense that we wanted to get a little more strategic, a little more tactical with what we're doing here. And I think we're going to see that with some of the guests we're bringing on, that we wanted our agents to be able to get their hands on some things and walk away with some actionable insights. But very excited about making the change here and some of the things we're going to be doing here as we head into the new year.
Yeah, one of the big pieces, obviously, as you're consuming this, you've noticed is we're no longer in a live format, and one of the reasons, obviously, we love getting together and mixing it up with everybody. It's a lot of fun, but we have found ourselves just honestly restricted to time. We want to bring you a lot of great quality content and guests, and having it being locked into that 1 hour availability was really kind of tough for the scheduling purposes. So, in an effort to provide greater value, we're going to kind of fall back into a more of a recorded format, but we're really looking forward to still bringing some really exciting content to you guys.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we'll probably do some pop-up live events, if you will, but this does allow us a lot more flexibility to schedule guests and to do some really exciting content.
Yeah.
So that being said, we'll be taking questions. People can send them in and whatnot, but we won't have the live format anymore. But we hope the trade-off is worth it for you. So that being said, let's jump right in. Wanted today to talk about something we've been working on, and many of you may have seen some articles that have been recently pushed out to the blog and through our social media that are really Aaron, our founder and president, Aaron's voice and thoughts, some articles that she wrote on the agent experience and how the experience that we are, building and our mission to build here at ENRG, where that came from. She didn't just kind of wake up one day and have this idea about what our agent experience should be like. So if you haven't read any, there's a few posts out. There's one about a rope swing. There's one about Legos. There's one about a steakhouse. Like, what does that have to do with real estate? Read the articles, come back and listen to this maybe.
Alas, we're here to help you through these, navigate these.
Yes. So yeah, if you haven't read them, this is a great way to kind of get a feeling for what that's all about. And then I invite you to read those and think about how it is shaping, what we're doing at ENRG. So, I think one thing, one of our taglines that we've been saying a lot is ENRG wants to be, a boutique experience, boutique support, that boutique touch with the virtual scale, with the power of the virtual model, of a national model, and the footprint that brings, the freedom, the flexibility. Most people, when they hear that, they think that's not possible.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Rivers. You can't really blame people for feeling that way because, while of course it's possible, but it hasn't come to be just yet. Right. And so I can understand why people would be skeptical about this like beautiful scenario, right? Because to a degree, we've heard stories, we've heard agent centric, we've heard boutique, we've heard these things. But it just because it hasn't existed yet doesn't mean it can't, right? And that's really what's really interesting here is, there is, you said a moment ago that it wasn't like this company or this firm was just came up with an idea. Like, sadly, that's, I think, how a lot of brokerages are born, right?
Yeah.
There may not be the origin story behind it. Sometimes, in fact, there's some great brands that I know for a fact were built out of a desire to build a massive revenue stream.
Yep.
That's why
And
the
hey,
company exists, right? And
guess
nothing wrong
what?
with it.
Guess what? Guess what? That's business.
That's
That's the
business,
world we
nothing wrong
live
with
in.
it.
And you know, in all honesty, we're not in this just for our health either.
Not a nonprofit,
We
ladies and
want
gentlemen.
everyone to make money too, but that's maybe a little bit of a different flavor is
Right,
how we're approaching that.
right.
You know, but I think that you're right. You have a lot of firms out there that are looked at various models that were successful. They looked at the, you know, they've got a lot of VC money that and people coming in saying, here's an industry that is ripe for disruption or change, or this person's doing it, this brokerage is doing it, this company is doing it. We can do it better. There's plenty of market share. Again, that's the world we live in. There's nothing
Nothing wrong
wrong
with
with
it.
that.
No, nothing wrong.
However, I think what we're seeing is one of the is in which we want to get into is the trade-offs here of some of these virtual models versus a boutique model and and what happens when, you know, as businesses get bigger and grow and there's private equity or, you know, that what happens is the experience gets kind of optimized away as the efficiency and margins go up.
No, you're 100% right. I mean, and sadly, all and there is no knock with what we're about to say. I mean, everybody's got different business models. That's fine.
Yeah.
But every business to a degree needs to learn how to run a well-oiled machine, really optimizing expenses and processes and flows.
Yeah.
But it does feel that one of the challenges we've seen in this industry is that we've really started to optimize, or brands have started to optimize the agent experience right out the back door in the sake of profitability. And we kind of have this mindset here that, if the agent is taken care of and cared for, that's another way to boost profitability, right? It's not just about cutting experience, it's about increasing the experience to elevate productivity in a different way. So,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
just different mindsets. I think at the end of the day, most brands are trying to land at the same spot, and that's be a successful company with happy agents.
Yep.
How
Yep.
we get there, though, there seems to be a very different divide in how we go about it. So just because
Yeah.
it hasn't been done doesn't mean it can't be done, and it is
Well,
a daunting task. But when you can kind of see what I found was interesting about reading those stories is you have these two like daunting behemoths of industry, right? You got the downline space, you've got the traditional legacy model, and while at the end of the day they're both selling real estate, they again have two different mindsets in how to do business.
true.
And what's interesting is that one side traditionally has far better economics for the agent, right? That's the downline space,
Sure.
right?
Virtual space,
Trad
the yep.
Yeah, traditionally, the brick and mortar mom and pop local footprint, they traditionally have a better experience, far worse economics. And so we
Mhm.
found ourselves in this world where we as agents have to decide which one. Do we
So
want
you've
the
got
experience?
drone support or great splits, right?
Right,
Or,
we're
you know,
we're
real
we're in
human
an
connection
either/or
or
situation.
yeah, or virtual freedom or, you know, the independence, you know, or you need to be in the office kind of infrastructure, right? Your brand or company brand or whatever that might be, or rev share or recruiting pressure, you know, I don't know. There's a lot of ors in
There is a
there.
lot of ors, and it seems like over the years, those ors, like many things in life, the divide has gotten bigger and bigger, right? It's
Sure.
like you are choosing service or you are choosing dollars.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Why?
Yeah. And I think what we kind of bring it back to the stories that Aaron has put out there, the point here is she was approaching this and along with Peter from a place of recognizing this chasm, recognizing this binary choice in the industry nowadays and saying, okay, well, instead of either or, how can it be both and, right? How can we give people the choice to, you know, different selection of choices, I guess. And in order to do that, you couldn't start from the framework or the frameworks that already exist. And it's not about disruption, right? It's about evolving into a
Evolution.
different place, right?
Right.
And in order to do that, she said, we have to tear down and start fresh from a new foundation of what that experience could and potentially should be.
Yeah.
And so she does this by talking about the first story is about a rope swing. And the rope swing is basically she's third, fourth generation Alaskan. Her dad found a spot where they wanted to put down some roots and build a home. He's an architect. And so you'd think he'd go up there, clear the land, start building the house. No, what is the first thing he does? He cuts down a tree and builds a rope swing so that she would have a new experience of that place before the home even existed,
Oh,
right?
and that speaks to the, between that and then her experience even once she got into the real estate space, where she was in that boutique world. So when you have that story of her father, which, what, honestly may not have really resonated with her fully until she was in the boutique experience,
Sure,
right?
sure.
To see that story really come to life. But she says what she talked about with her father doing that, she didn't understand it at first, but what she came to realize was that he built the rope swing first because experience mattered over almost anything else, right?
Correct,
If the experience
correct.
was tainted or bad or whatever, all the other things have a little tarnish on them.
Yep.
So I thought it was interesting that we did, and that's really what we've noticed here at the company. From the very process, the beginning of onboarding, things are just dialed into where the agent experience is shown as a forefront of our process, not an afterthought of the
Yes, it's
process.
paramount.
Is
And
it?
and if you think about if you hook up with a boutique firm, especially as a younger agent, um, that experience is paramount. It is critical
Sure.
that it's like, okay, I feel like I'm at home here. I'm getting my feet underneath me. I've got support. I've got people. I can get a handshake or a hug if I need it, and she always says, I want our experience to feel like a warm hug. Well, that's a bit of a daunting task in a nationwide virtual model.
Well, there it is. I
So,
mean, and now we've entered right back into the rub, right?
yeah.
The either or scenario, because usually if the agent experience is not baked into the absolute bedrock of the onboarding process from the beginning,
Mhm.
that's really hard to retrofit into a virtual scale. It really is. It
Right.
really is. It's gotta be a part of the process, a part of the thought process from day one. Otherwise, it just can spread to so much that it's hard to really regain that
Right.
feeling out in the field, and I think that's one of the biggest challenges that other downline models, I think it was an unintended consequence of the rapid growth.
Mhm.
Right? And
Mhm.
so, her experience, not only through being a child and her experience with the father, her experience at the boutique, brand the first 15 years of her career, that was her education before she even saw the possibilities of the economic framework in the downline space. So, which I can really appreciate, because had she been exposed to the downline space first,
Mm.
saw the economic power before feeling the
Mhm.
what it feels like to be at a boutique, it may have been hard to put this together, but because we
Mhm.
started with a place of feeling and what it feels like to be a part of something other than just yourself, when that's the foundation, and then we're exposed to the economics of the downline space, it makes everything a little bit more, I think it sticks together a little easier coming
Sure.
from that perspective rather than
Sure.
the other. And that's
Yep.
been something exciting. I mean, let's be honest, dude. There's a lot of people that would love to say, "Yeah, let's create a national culture." It is a daunting task,
It is.
and the only way it works is if from day one, every moment, every decision is wrapped in the agent experience as a guiding decision criteria.
Right, and if you think about it this way, as we said earlier, we're still a business.
Sure.
We still want to make money, and we want our partners and agents, et cetera, to make money. That when you approach it from the experience and you make the experience wonderful for the agents, the downline, pun intended, I guess, the downstream benefit of that is their clients, the consumers buying and selling property, should also benefit from that experience, right? And so it trickles down. And then what happens? Guess what? If the economics are favorable for everyone involved with the other side of the model that we have, everybody wins, right? Everybody makes money. Agents do more deals. Consumers are getting better deals. They're growing more equity, and the company flourishes, right? That that sounds little pie in the sky, but I think we're starting to see that. And I think what's interesting in the subsequent articles after the rope swing article, she talks about an instance where someone who was a Star Wars fanatic got some like 9,000 piece Lego set for the Mos Eisley Cantina, and like halfway through it found out like one bag was missing, right? And the way that Lego responded to that consumer when they wrote in, they talked to them in
Like
Star Wars speak and in
like
Star
Lord
Wars
Vader was
lingo.
on the loose,
Yeah,
right?
Lord Vader must have plucked that out of your
He's out there
box or
just still
something,
in
right?
pieces.
Right. And then she also talks about her she and Peter, when they got married, they went to a steakhouse in Seattle, the Metropolitan Grill, and they had this wonderful. It was right after their wedding, and it was just the two of them. They had this wonderful dinner, and they decided to go back a year later for their anniversary. And the second they walked in, they knew the people knew their name. They knew what they'd ordered. They were recommending similar bottles of wine. They knew everything, not that was written down, not on tablets, nothing, like from memory. The point is, they didn't remember all of that stuff for every single person that came in there.
They had
The point is, underneath the hood of the Lego story, the steakhouse story, is something near and dear to my heart, is data,
right.
right? The more you know about your customers, the more you can create an amazing experience for them,
Right.
right? And so the what may feel intrusive or strange, but if you're cataloging this information as you go along about your customers, whether they're buying and selling real estate, or for our perspective about an agent, it allows us to serve you better. Period. We know
Look,
how to speak to you. As my fiance would say, we know your love language. We know your disc profile. We know what's going to work and what's
well,
not, and that's
at the end of the
important.
day, it all goes into the level of experience that you receive. If there is no data, then everybody who provides you a service is just swinging in the dark,
Mhm.
right? The data's everywhere, guys. The data conversation is not new at all.
No.
What is new is our ability to take control of our data.
Yes,
That's very
that's true.
that's
That's a
very
whole other episode
Right,
that
that
we will get
exactly,
into.
that's very new, but being
Yeah,
able
yeah,
to, really lean into that sort of thing and having a brokerage that at some base level knows a little bit more about you, those are the elements that they use to provide you a better experience, right?
yeah.
And so it's not like, there's like we're getting medical files on people or anything like that, but it's like the questioning and the onboarding process, you can just tell from the moment the process begins that you are in an environment that cares about who you are,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Just by some of the questioning.
yeah.
Right?
No, I'm with you. I think, again, I tell everybody, go read the stories. There's a couple more that'll be coming out after this,
Yeah.
this episode, as a teaser. There's one about the Ritz-Carlton, which is really famous for
Well,
the way that they handle customer interactions. And, I think it's the point is, you we talk about legacy brokerage, legacy models, and it's not a knock necessarily
no.
against them, because that's the best they had at the time. We have a different world we live in. We have a
Well,
different set of technology that we can use, and we have the experience of seeing legacy brokerage. We have the experience of seeing downline and virtual models and seeing what works and what doesn't, and doing something
yeah.
new.
Well, that's what's interesting is there's a last story, now not a spoiler alert here, but there's one other story that they talk about the idea that they over the time, like because they're not this isn't their first rodeo, right? They've been in
Right.
this game for a while, helping multiple large brands really scale their initiatives, seek public status, building out their systems. I mean, this isn't their first rodeo. There's a couple really large names that they've got their fingerprints all over, right?
Sure.
So it isn't their first rodeo, but the reality is there's a story where they talk about having over time developing the idea that they could see what needed to be fixed. They just didn't have the keys.
Sure.
Right.
Yep.
And so what's really interesting, I've had people since we've been out here and we're talking about it, they're like, well, if they knew all these things, why didn't they do that at another place? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, we evolve, man. We're like I said, everybody's an evolution, right? We know more things now than we did then. But the reality is we've got this body of work by them, whether it be in the traditional space, whether it be in the downline space, whether it be, the memories, of the father and the stories. At some point, you learn what you need to know about the problems in the industry, whether it's because you created it or it's
Yep.
because you've just operated in that ecosystem forever. At some point, you begin to see the cracks in what maybe you've created or played a role in creating, and that's where the next evolution comes in. Now they have the keys to
Yep.
actually create the fixes that they've seen that the industry's been needing for a while.
Yeah, man.
It's not a either or, it's an and both or a both and, right?
Both and I totally am with you, and Erin says this a lot. She's like, we were seeing these things that we wanted to change, and we couldn't necessarily affect those changes. So it's kind of like one night, it's like, you know what, we got to build it ourselves. Right? And I'll be honest that, I've known Aaron and Peter for 5 or 6 years now, and I never thought I'd see myself on the brokerage side. I've always been a technology guy, a prop tech marketing guy, and I've worked with hundreds of different agents, teams, brokerages, technology companies in the space, for nearly 20 years. And when I was starting to seeing what was happening in the last 2 or 3 years just in the world and the industry, and I was like, talking to brokerages and brokerage leaders and team leaders out there, and everybody was still kind of like trying to keep one foot in the past and like shoehorn a legacy model into a new way of doing this new world we're living in. I was and for me, it was like I remember looking at Jeff, who's our VP of tech and data, one day and saying, if we want to do this, we're just going to have to start our own brokerage, right? And it was like, I don't think I want to do that. And then manifest whatever, like Aaron comes along, we're talking and they're starting this new brokerage. And it was like, light bulb moment. This is an opportunity to do something that is tackling this big problem and offering a new way of doing brokerage. I couldn't be more thrilled about it.
Well, it's funny you say that, man, because I think what's interesting is, um, I don't. This company wasn't born out of. I don't think it was born out of frustration. I think it was born out of like finally having a clear vision on what it's going to take to right the ship,
Mhm.
and having the audacity to do something
Sure.
about it, right? I think we are in an interesting time, but I mean, before I found my way to this world with energy, I was at the point also where I was like, is the only other play for me opening my own brokerage? Right? And right,
Right.
because
Right.
I was tired of seeing what I thought should happen, and
Yep.
then the industry continued just hard right, going the opposite direction, right?
Sure.
And
Sure.
so when I met Peter and Aaron, it was like, okay, they're speaking the same language as I am.
Yes.
And then when you meet people in the different departments and the leaders, it's like, okay, they're speaking the same language. It's
Yes.
like we've got this I don't know, it's kinda like, I use this loosely because 'cause I'm a part of the crew, but it's like an all-star cast, right?
A dream
Yeah,
team.
it really is, and it's like, all
Yeah.
right, so now these aren't just stories, right? This isn't just a rope swing story. This isn't just a customer service Lego story. This isn't just experiences, Ruth's Chris or, Ritz-Carlton story. You can see how now knowing Peter and Aaron, having a 30,000 foot of the industry itself, seeing these stories, you can see how the basis and the foundation of this company has been being formed for many years, actually,
Yes.
right? You can
Yes.
feel that. Like this feels like this is a graduation story,
Absolutely.
right? It's
And I
like,
think it's people coming together from kind of disparate backgrounds within the industry. And I remember when I heard Erin talking about how she wanted her vision for this, I was like, that can that matches with my vision of what a data infrastructure, master
Right.
data management infrastructure looks like. We'll get into that on a future
Right.
episode, I'm sure. Is That's what didn't necessarily exist before, or at least in its current capacity. And when you partner with what's happening with AI, with the vision of this, you can actually create something new and different that just we didn't have the opportunity
We didn't
before.
have the opportunity. It's not that other brands are bad and they've done it the wrong way. They just didn't have the luxury of being founded in today's world.
Yeah. Yeah. And I gotta say, I think there have got to be thousands and thousands of agents out there that are like hopefully hearing this and saying, yes. And what else can we do? How can I be a part of that? Because I'm either in I'm in a boutique brokerage that I love, and I love a lot of the things there, but I'm yearning for more technology. I'm yearning for a better economic situation, or I've hit my ceiling here, whatever that looks like. Or you've got other folks that are in a very pure virtual downline kind of model, and the economics might be working for them, but maybe, I've talked to some folks that are like, I've done the same amount of transactions 3 years in a row. I need more something. I don't get the support I need to grow and scale, but I'm doing fine. But man, couldn't it be better? You
Could be
know?
better. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think there are a lot of people that, it's interesting. I put a piece of content out on this the other day. Sometimes it's like, you don't really even understand. You don't really understand what the feeling is. It's not complacency because you're grinding. You're out there doing the work. It's not the sky has fallen because you're putting units together. You're actually transacting. Sometimes the hardest thing to diagnose is the environment.
Mm,
Right? Because you think like, it's the thing that shouldn't matter. It should be all on me. If I'm excelling, my business is
right.
excelling, but sometimes you don't even really realize that maybe you're just stagnant, and I'm sure you got great people around you, but maybe your environment is stagnant. Maybe there is an evolution that's needed in your business.
Hmm.
It's, I don't know, man. The road ahead is very exciting. I think one of our biggest challenges, if I'm just being honest, is we're at a point in this industry where let's be honest. The real estate agent in general, don't cancel me for saying this, is not have a history of being fast evolvers.
Okay.
I mean, seriously.
Indeed.
So I would
Indeed.
think and as as being somebody that's in tech, the level of speed that technology evolution is happening is so fast that it's hard to keep up with it if you're actually involved in it.
Yeah.
So imagine the agent that's still working out of a day timer. I would imagine one of our hardest challenges in the road forward is not only delivering this experience, but
Hmm.
letting
Hmm.
agents know this experience exists.
Absolutely.
That's
And
that's
I
part of the
think that
challenge.
you're right. And that's a mission that's personal for me, as is we have to shift our mindset first. And I see it time and time and time again. You're at a conference, somebody's on stage, preaching at you about how you should be managing your database, your CRM, doing your marketing, but it only works if you've shifted your mindset into a different way of thinking. Otherwise, it's like, telling somebody that has never driven a car before that they'll get there faster, but they just have to use the car, but they don't have any frame of reference because they've only ridden horses or bikes or something, right? Um, and so it's like we have to get our light bulbs to come on to say, that there is a different way, and we are carving that out and creating that in real time. We have a vision for it. No secrets that we are young, but we are looking for partners and looking for agents that want to be a part of this, that want to help us grow and evolve this vision, because we're already seeing that it's not just a vision or a mission; it is happening.
It's
Right?
happening.
We're agents are starting to feel it. Their clients are starting to feel it, and will only get better. And as they say, as you said, kind of alluding to technology, is this is as slow as it's going to be. So if you're already a few years behind, like it's the gap is going to start really kind of, spreading out. And I think this is obviously a really, really awesome opportunity to get involved and get on board And we're at a phase where we can bring a lot of great thought leaders and visionaries in with us, because there's no way around it. Like, we're not saying that agents are not also independent. That's what's beautiful about this industry is that, but we're saying, can the, it's not an either or in this sense either, is that the brokerage and the brand and the company can support you in a way that works for your needs. If you want to go all in with us and be ENRG all the way, then great, let's do it. But we also recognize that you're an agent. You're an independent contractor. You're running your own brand potentially. How can we support that at the very least, right? It's not an either or for us.
I agree. I agree. Well, one thing is clear: the road ahead is very exciting.
It is.
It is. We're rolling into 2026 here in a few weeks here in a few years. And I don't know. I'm really excited. There's been, I think we're coming out of a couple years of turbulent waters, some uneasiness just around the industry in general. And while there's still recovery with consumer sentiment that needs to happen,
Sure.
right? And I'm sure
Sure.
there's still some relief people would like to see in the rates. I feel like the tide has shifted a little bit to where people have the sky is it's not falling as fast as it was, and it's more like all right, this is the way maybe it's going to be for a while. Right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we can get to focusing on how to, okay, the sky's not falling. Here's where we're operating. In today's conditions, in today's environments, what's the absolute best way to bring the best experience to the agent? And that's what we're focused on.
Absolutely. And I think, kind of putting a bow on this is no, the sky's not falling,
No,
but we are seeing, and I don't want to get in too much into what's happening in the industry, but we're seeing a lot of consolidation.
ton of it.
A lot of big companies, where we potentially are in a world where we have a few big real estate companies and then a smaller pool of independent kind of legacy operators out there. The portal wars. I mean, there's a lot happening across the board, and I think that agents are looking for alternatives. They're looking for an option that isn't black or white. It isn't like, oh, I got to go here or there. I think we offer that solution to them that's a stable, new choice, that brings, dare I say it, the best of both worlds, or that even feels limiting. It's like just a new way of doing things.
Yeah, I was gonna say it does feel limiting. The best of both worlds there's still things that we've uncovered now from those previous worlds that we didn't think was possible, right? Right. So
Yeah.
it's like I think it's just an evolved mindset, right? It's like we see all these times, all these companies wanting to tell you their how to explain their model. This is our model explained. Here's our presentation. We're explaining the model. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't think we need any more models explained. I think we just need an evolved model, right?
I hear
I
that.
think it's
We got to
just time
explain that
to
a little bit, but
yeah, yeah, I think there's just it's time for us just to do the things and continue to put the work out there, continue to put the stories out there. This is at the end of the day, we're selling real estate like every other brokerage.
yep.
Like
Yep. And it is probably one of those things that when an agent, y- you know, they understand what we're doing and what we're trying to do, but when they actually come on board and feel it,
right.
when they see more transactions, when they feel the support, they feel the love, they feel that you can have a warm hug in a virtual brokerage, that's powerful. And I think that is, that's what we're striving to do every day.
And I think that's the experience that most agents are really looking for. I think we are at a time in this industry where splits and fees, while obviously economics matter, I don't think that's the big driver. I think the pricing models have consolidated enough
Hmm.
where nobody should be making, split exclusive decisions,
Right.
right? I think we're at a time where, economics absolutely matter. You need to be able to make sure your household and your family and your finances are tight.
Of course.
But the truth is, I think we're at a point now where most agents understand that the experience and being in an environment they can thrive and flourish, that's actually got a greater impact on the bottom line than looking for an extra 5% split difference.
Absolutely. And I think this is a great kind of segue to wrap it up here. There was, I believe, 1000 Watt put out a survey a couple months ago that said basically th- exactly what you just said. They said the most important thing is leadership.
Mm,
who's at the helm, and what are their motives? And we know what the motives are from Aaron's side in the stories that she is telling, and from Peter's side and the systems that he's building alongside her, and then the team that they've assembled to create this and make it a reality. Um, we're we're all coming from a place of making sure and driving that agent experience first and foremost, and understanding that that experience trickles down to the people that they're working with. And, like I said, I couldn't be more excited. I think it's a great way to kind of end the year and head into 2026. We've got some bold things we're going to be working on. So, Charles, I'm gonna turn it over to you to leave us with the closing thoughts and
Well,
take it out. No pressure, my man.
no pressure. This is our first close without a live audience, so I can obviously edit it if I bomb it. Now, guys, again, we appreciate you hanging in there with us. We've been on a little bit of a break for the past couple weeks as we bring a new structure and format. I know y'all are super excited to participate live with us every single week, but we do really feel that we can bring a better value to you guys by having a little bit more flexible here. So that's how we're going to wrap it up today. We're excited to transition from the current to the lab. So, Rivers, Pierce, I appreciate you joining us on the lab today, and I look forward to creating many, many more viral, if you will, episodes that people can share everywhere. So that's it for the day, guys. Hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you next time on the lab.